If you want to extend a calculator to do more advanced mathematical operations, like taking logarithms or trigonometric functions, then you're going to need an additional library. I prefer Numpy, which stands for Numerical Python. Numpy is widely used in data analytics and machine learning, but it can also be used for a calculator. So let's take a look at that. First of all, add a new subheader entitled Numpy. Then add a new text cell to say what it is. Just to let you know, Numpy is short for Numerical Python. Okay, press Shift Enter to run that, and then you have a coding cell. So what do you do with Numpy? Well, because it's a library, first you need to import it. So go ahead and import Numpy, and then look at this. An option is presented as NP. That is a universal shortcut in Python. So instead of having to write out NUMPY every time you want to invoke the library, you can write NP for short. When Colab presents it as an option, you can use the arrow to scroll down to it and then press Enter to select it. So go ahead and run that cell block. And now we can use Numpy. So how do we use Numpy? Well, one way is to write NP dot. This is called dot notation, and it allows you to use anything in the Numpy library. These are all different methods, like ABS for absolute value. If you want to try that, you could just press Enter and put in like a number like -2 and press Shift Enter, see if it gives you the expected value of 2, which it does. Okay, let's do some more interesting things with Numpy. We talked about logarithms. Well, what are logarithms? Logarithms are kind of like they give you the power. So note when you type in log, there are quite a few options. There's a log base 2, log base 10. Log by default is actually base E. Let's look at log base 10. You can select it with the mouse. And if you put in 1,000, you should get 3 because 10 to the third is actually 1,000. So press Shift Enter, and you do get 3.0. Next, a mention about the number E. Is it in there? Well, you might guess E, and sure enough, there it is. So you can press Shift Enter to actually see Python's value for E in Numpy. There you see 2.71828 with additional decimal places following. Pi, you can imagine, you can get the same way in p.pi. Press Shift Enter. You can see the number of digits that you get. And I also mentioned trigonometric functions. So for those of you who have had trigonometry, you're looking at things like sine and cosine, sin, and you can put in, it's in radians by default. So you could put in a number like 2 pi, so 2, you got to put in the times, in p.pi, okay, that's 2 times pi. Press Shift Enter, and you get a value that's really close to 0. I'm laughing because it should be 0. And Python is actually really great overall with math, but there, it's using like some kind of a convergent series, and so it's close to 0. And just a little heads up for those of you who go on to take advanced math and use different calculators and programs, when you get a number really close to 0, you want to know if it actually should be 0. That should be 0, just to let you know. So one other thing I want to show you that's really cool is random. So you can do random numbers using Numpy. Now it's interesting, there are a lot of random options, so you actually have to put in the dot to access more. So if you put in dot random, you need 2 randoms here, which is kind of standard but weird. And then parentheses. Usually you need parentheses because these are methods, which are like functions. And then press Shift Enter, and you get a random number between 0 and 1. Okay, it's kind of fun. You can do it a bunch of times. Ooh, look at that. That's close to 1. And see what you get. Okay. And, these some high numbers there, right? You can sometimes wonder, oh, I'm getting a lot of high numbers. It's like a disproportionate number between 0.5 in a row. Anyway, that's random. There's a ton in Numpy. I encourage you to explore it on your own.